how did you decide that online courses and specifically adult learners, how did you come to that realization where you wanted to teach adults?
Yeah. So when I started to consider online courses, I did immediately think of adults just because they're the ones that were going to be purchasing stuff. And I didn't think kids tend to need a little bit more in person. They need that personal connection, they need a little bit more accountability that you can get from a lesson. And while I think some kids can benefit from some online stuff, it may not be the best learning tool for them. But adults like that. We like that independency. We like being able to set our own pace, set our own structure, especially people that I've encountered who learn instruments later in life. I have taught several in person adults, and they like to set their pace. They like to have a little bit more control with that because they're very motivated. They picked this understanding how difficult it was going to be. They're not as naive as a young kid who's like, oh, yeah, look at me, I'm already great. And they have this dedication from the beginning that I thought an online structure would really help and benefit. And the other part of it that sparked my interest was I've had several adult students come and be like, I can only do once a month lessons, or I can only do every other week, or they would stay with me for a few months and then jobs or school would pile up and they would need to leave. And then they'd say, oh, I'll once this settles down, I'll come back. And then they just never did. And I would follow up and they would be like, I'm really sorry. I just don't know that I can continue at this time in my life. So I thought this online course could be something that provides that material that they need to learn in a structured way that they're not like guessing through going through and sifting through other like YouTube videos and stuff that's planned out for them, but also give them that flexibility of learning from home so they don't have to travel and feel bad because they missed a lesson. It's there when they're ready for it.
I think that's a fabulous idea. And I think this is actually we're in a time right now where I'm starting to see a lot of entrepreneurs like you and me, and actually Julia Reddy, who was on the Violin Podcast a few episodes ago in this season. I recommend you checking that episode out as well, because she exclusively teaches adult learners as well. Very much like you. She just became a mom and she's, gonna have some time off. Of course, she's the host of the Violin Class podcast, but your story reminds me of her a lot, because a lot of parents who want to have families sometimes don't, or a lot of adults who want to have families oftentimes are kind of restricted, or they feel like they can't because of their work schedule. A lot of work schedules, afternoons, evenings, they're afraid that they're not going to be spending time with their family. But what I'm seeing right now in the classical music industry is a lot of entrepreneurs like yourself, like Julia, David Taylor, who I interviewed also, are kind of creating their own path. But most importantly, they're providing value. I think that's the most important thing, that whatever you're selling or whoever you're selling to, you are specifically selling a course of violin beginner tutorials or a violin beginner class, online course towards a specific niche audience. And that is what I want to point out, because I feel like there is some kind of renaissance of adult learners who want to learn.